Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be reviewing the Coospo BLC100 bike light mount combination. The new Coospo BLC100 is a combination bike light mount and power bank that can be sandwiched between your mount and your computer, which lets you have a bike light without taking up any additional space. Packaging wise is really simple. You just have the orange and white color scheme that Coospo is known for, a nice graphic representation of the light on the front, then basic specs on the back printed in multiple languages. We're going to open this up and go over the specs. So retail price on this is $49.90, so fairly affordable. 100 Lumen output, and you have a very large 500 milliamp internal battery. It is USB Type-C chargeable, and again you get power bank functionality, so you can use this to charge other devices on the go. You have a nice battery status indicator on here, so you can always check the battery status. And you do have a removable Garmin adapter, which is a unique feature. As far as what comes with this, you can see a basic packaging. You have that adapter, so this will actually go on the top side, and this will let you mount a computer, another accessory right on top of it, and just slides into place. You get this really cool USB Type-C charging cable with a holder, which I haven't seen before. So you can see, pop this out, pop it out on the other side, and then slide it out. So it's USB to C. But you get a cool little holder here, so when you're done using it, you get to slide it into place, put it on the right side, so pull it in, push down, and then you can see I can do the same thing on the other side. So pretty cool, very easy to store this. You also get a Garmin to GoPro adapter, so you can use this to mount directly on here, and then put this right underneath your out front mount for a very slick installation. Now let's take a look at the weight of the light. So the BLC100 by itself, that is 113 grams. If you put the little plastic adapter on there, it's an additional 13. Visually, the Coospo BLC100 has a shield-like shape with this rectangular profile and triangular top. You can see with the 5,000 milliamp internal battery, it's also quite large, so fairly thin, but it's wide and long. Dimensionally, it's 9.5 by 6.3 by 1.8 centimeters. So it's definitely on the larger side. The body is plastic, but it almost looks like brushed aluminum because you have this really cool brushed effect on the top surface and then on the bottom surface as well. Some pretty attractive design. The only flaw with this is the one we received actually had some scratches right out of the box. So maybe the finish isn't that durable over time. You have these glossy side bezels, which add a little bit of contrast and make this whole thing look pretty premium despite the budget price. On the front, you have this nice wraparound COB LED design. That ensures you're visible from the side, the front, and different angles, which is a cool feature. And the only branding on here is Coospo printed directly on underneath the button, the model number below it, and then basic safety indicators on there as well. On the left side of this, so depending on where you want to call left and right, you can see to the left of the power button, there's what looks like a USB Type-C port, but actually it just seems like a dummy one. There's another one on the right side, so kind of a weird feature. This one is a USB Type-C port, which you can use to charge it, or again, use it to charge another device. So you can use this as a power bank. And I suspect it's just a manufacturing error. They told them put it on the left, and then oops, let's put it on the right. So hopefully by the time you buy this, they'll run out of these and just put them on one side, as it's a little bit awkward to have two covers and then a fake dummy port. You can see there's these slots cut out on the edges, and then the two holes here for the safety tether if you choose to use it. The coolest feature about this is though how it's mounted. So this is designed to really sandwich between an out front mount and your computer using the little adapter. This concept isn't really that new. We've reviewed the Fabric Lumaray, and then the newer Ravemen FR160 and 300, as well as the Moonsport MX. And it's kind of a cool design. It just really lets you put a bike light on without taking up more space. What's clever about this one is that they've actually made it removable, and I don't quite understand why, but you can see this little adapter will slide on. So if you choose to put a computer on top, you put the computer directly on here, and then you would mount this to your out front mount. So if we take our out front mount here, you can see you have a couple options here. I can just take it directly, put it underneath my out front mount, And you can see it almost looks like a giant spaceship with it sticking out. So again, I can slide this off. So for a cleaner look, you can run it like this underneath, which seems a little bit unusual because it kind of defeats the purpose. Otherwise, you can't put the mount directly on the top, and then you get this big clean surface if you don't want a computer. But again, really weird. Why would you do that? More likely, you'll take the adapter, and you can see with this plastic adapter, it does have the brushed face on there as well, but definitely makes this look cheaper. It looks a lot nicer with just the brushed plastic look. But with this one, you can see now you have the adapter. You can take your computer, put it on top, and you can see this is very large, so it actually sticks out. And then the power button is underneath, which isn't that helpful. But this is more likely the setup you'll use it with, as you really want to sandwich it between your computer and your out front mount. And in the rare case you don't want to do that, you could theoretically, again, put it underneath, put the computer on top, and then ditch this little accessory. But at the end of the day, I just feel like this accessory is just one more thing to get lost or break. So it's a little bit unusual choice, but does give you that flexibility for a cleaner look. The user interface on this, you can see, is also very simple. They put the button right here. So if you do mount this underneath, this is probably the easiest way to control it because you can just come look underneath there. There's a 4 LED setup and it's quite dim and it's almost invisible, which is pretty cool. So when it's off, you can't see it, and you can see at other angles, you can't even tell that exists. So you have 4 LEDs, a single press will tell you the power status. Long hold will turn it on. And then again, you have the nice COB LED design. So really nice uniform glow. This is a B-scene style light, so don't use as your main light. You can see it's just a glow, won't illuminate the road, just ensures you're visible. But you have great side visibility. There's 4 modes. You have low, high, this pulsing flash mode, and then this daytime visibility one, which is really bright. So it's a cool setup that ensures you're visible, and because of this narrow body, it's still quite compact, so it'll hide underneath your computer. The light has 4 different output modes. You have high, low, pulsing, and then daytime flash. Coospo doesn't actually publish the lumen output and the runtime, but the maximum lumen output is 100 lumen, and they claim a runtime of 12 to 14 hours. You can see the flash mode is the most useful one, especially for daytime riding. It's highly visible, and with that curved front LED, you can see it even from side angles. Here you can see riding during the daytime. The light is pretty bulky, so we have it mounted underneath the computer, but you can see it definitely stands out, and with that plastic adapter, it does make it look a little bit cheaper. But otherwise, the light has a nice wide COB LED, so it's definitely visible from high angles. And it's great for daytime riding, and you can hide it right underneath your computer instead of having to mount it somewhere else. So overall, it's a nice design. It's a cool concept with this combination mount and light design. You have daytime flash without taking up more space on your handlebar. Obviously, I think Coospo could have addressed some minor issues. The buttons are underneath, so you can't really see it. And with this bulkier design, it's definitely visible even if you have a big computer on top. So it would have been nice a little bit smaller, but you do get that big battery. So overall, cool computer combo, but we think it still could use a couple of improvements to really make it more useful. Here we actually have the Ravemen lights. These are very similar to the Fabric Lumaray. So they have the same wraparound design, but Ravemen just made it more modern, and Fabric has essentially disappeared from the marketplace. So they just took the idea and just iterated it. You can see with these, the adapter is actually just molded directly in, which makes a lot more sense. This is the lower model 160 lumen version. This is a 300 lumen version, so a little bit bigger, but you can see the adapters are just built in, while Coospo decided to make it a removable design. So you can actually take it off while these are just built in. I don't really understand why you need this to be removable, as you'll never really run this on top, and if you're running it underneath, you would mount it upside down, so you wouldn't even see that. So it's kind of an odd choice that just makes it one more thing that could fail or get lost. The other nice thing about the Ravemen versus the Coospo is you have a wraparound design. So you can see with this one, you have that triangular shape, but with the LEDs here, so I put them right by side, you can see at some angle I can't see the Coospo until it's more horizontal, but with this one it has full wraparound. So better visibility and larger COB LEDs. These have a little bit more higher output as well, but the Coospo is more affordable and it has a larger battery, which is nice. So if you want to charge other devices or you're doing long distance riding, 5,000 milliamps is quite a bit to have. The other thing here is the controlling of these. So if you had a computer on top, you can see with the Coospo, you actually have to go put your hand underneath to adjust it. And you can't see the power indicators, which are again quite dim, but you wouldn't see them on the road anyways because it would be underneath. With the Ravemen, it's on the side, which is a little bit more useful. The other thing to point out is that this is gigantic, so it's very large. So even with a big 3.5-inch screen with the IGP Sport IGS 800 computer, which is again as large as it gets, you can still see the Coospo. So it's not small enough to really hide. So if I look from the side profile, you can see it sticks out on the front. If I look from the front, you can see it's just about parallel to it. So unless you have a really big computer, you're going to definitely see it. And if we compare that to, say, the smaller 160 lumen Ravemen, which again just has a smaller battery, this one hides a little bit better. So you can see with this one installed, it's more narrow, so it doesn't really stick out on the top and sides and even on the front. So it definitely does a better job hiding, while the Coospo will be visible, but of course you get the giant battery. Now let's go over the pros and cons of the BLC100. What we like about it is you have a very large battery with 5,000 milliamps. You can charge a lot of devices. You also have a nice curved front COB LED, which is highly visible and visible from the side. And with that large battery, you also have that power bank functionality with that convenient USB port right on the side. The main negatives with this light is the fact that it's very large. So even if you have a big 3.5-inch screen GPS, you can still see it underneath. Also, they place the buttons on the bottom surface. So if you have a computer above it, you can actually see the button or the battery status indicator. Also, with this design, you have the removable adapter, which is a little bit bulky and looks cheap with the transparent plastic construction. Taking everything into account, would give the light an 8.2 out of 10. It's an interesting light mount combo, but again, just a little bit big, and some of the usability things could be improved. Thanks for watching this review. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can see more content from us on our website at thesweetcyclist.com, as well as follow us on Instagram at thesweetcyclist. This is The Sweet Cyclist reminding you to enjoy the ride.